Volume 2.
What a fucking shocker! Puppets! Quigley's Village is Sesame Street for the Christian crowd. 2 parts Muppet Show, 1 part Fraggle Rock, 4 parts Guilt for Being Human. It ran from 1987 to 1999, a massive 12 years of disappointment. It's also been very popular in the Spanish-speaking circle, as Spanish TV loves to pick up garbage hand-me-down movies and television. It's there to teach your children about telling the truth and how your soul is constantly in peril and you could die and go to hell. A fun kids show. The filling station from 1986 is full of what most religious leaders are. Gas. What do you get when you pump gas for the Lord? Lessons on how God can give you a plus 50% bonus chance of getting more skills.
But as you use these talents and abilities for God, He'll even add to the list. God has great plans for you. And some of those plans will come from you using such abilities as loving, listening.
God apparently plays the world like Skyrim. It's full of colorful, shitty animation involving bees and morals and boredom.
Learn to be humble bees. Learn to be humble bees. Learn to be humble bees. Wanting God's way, not our way.
It's a good thing there's a gas station. I want to fill up my car on 650 million-year-old fossil fuels before driving the fuck up out of this creepy town. Senior Year from 1978 is actually somewhat well known. It was a popular movie of the year. It's about 2 kids in high school who are struggling to meet Jesus' standard of living while being surrounded by rational people. There's this guy who's pissing them off, and it looks like an episode of Happy Days. It also has the greatest intro music of all time.
It's your senior year. Life was more than looking back on worn out memories.
A lot of us like to share our faith around school. We're just not sure how to do it.
It also teaches us that in God's sight, all our righteousness, all the good that people might see in us, all these things are worthless.
For the past few weeks, I thought sure I was pregnant. Help me be a stronger Christian.
Towards the end, the ladies' man kidnaps the poor girl because she won't go out with him. Then he hauls ass and flips his car and ends up paralyzing her and putting her in a wheelchair. But don't worry, it's the 1970s, so he's not going to get in any trouble. The Appointment from 1991. A Christian horror story? Of course this is going to be awesome. It's the story of an empowered young female working at a journalism group, and then one day this guy tells her that she's going to die.
Death is something no one likes to think about, Liz, but it is a reality. Death comes suddenly too, and for most people it's too late to get right with God.
Look, I have a busy day, so if you don't mind...
I know you have distractions, Liz. That's the way Satan is.
Then the rest of the week is full of people trying to get her to sell her soul to Jesus. She fights it, and in the end, spoiler, she ends up dying. They never tell you if she gets into heaven or hell or not. Left me disappointed. 1 out of 10 stars. In 1990, we got Joseph and His Brothers, done by Hanna-Barbera, the company who made quality cartoons like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons. They also made this. It's the 10,754th Christian video about time travel. Pamela's Prayer in 1998 is a film that takes place in the make-believe land of 1965. Pamela would like to have someone's dong inside her various orifices. However, her father won't let her date because that would mean she would have dongs in her various orifices. It starts off when Pamela is born. Her mother squats out some spawn, then dies, leaving her husband to raise their baby. The inconsiderate bitch. So there's a sad montage of him doing stuff with the baby to music that sounds eerily familiar. She grows up in the classic creepy Christian tradition.
Daddy, I have Jesus in my heart.
And eventually grows up to be Winnie from the Wonder Years. The Cross and the Switchblade is a 1970 movie based on a 1963 book of the same name. It was written by Pastor David Wilkerson and orbits the true story of Wilkerson's first 5 years in New York City, where he pulled a Michelle Pfeiffer and walked through a gangster's paradise. The book sold like a gazillion copies, and it teaches the ever so important lesson that the white man knows best. Wine of the Morning from 1955 helps people understand how people in the biblical era talked, like mushmouth Southerners.
Since Jonathan has been so much worse lately and can't manage the shop anymore, and Dismas, willing as he is, just can't do it alone.
It alters some biblical facts. For example, when they bring the sponge to Jesus' lips to drink, it's full of mint julep. Jesus catches a case of the vapors and then dies, and then I deleted the video. What can $6,000 get you? The 2007 classic by Cloud 10 called Smuggler's Ransom. Cloud 10 brought us such wonderful films as the film adaptations of the Left Behind book series. The series of movies based on the series of books based on the end of the world. A sexy lady smuggles Bibles into Romania and is captured by communist forces. The Pinkos demand that her scientist daddy trade himself for her, but America ain't gonna let those Reds get away with it.
Yankee Doodle came to town a-riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
What happens when you mix Speed Racer quality anime with B quality mythology? Superbook! Superbook is the story of 3 kids who time travel, oh Jesus Christ, more time travel, back to the biblical times with their fucking robot. Yes, as per every anime contract, the goddamn thing has a robot. So the 3 kids named Huey, Louie, and Dumbass see the events of the Bible with Christbot 2000. And they see Moses, and then some other crap, and most of it takes place in the Old Testament. The crazier of the two. However, they must have missed the story where the kids make fun of the bald guy and get mauled by a fucking bear. Or the story about the 2 girls who date raped their own father. Or the story about the guy who pulled out during sex so God zapped him dead. Adventures in Odyssey Baby Days from 1998. What appears to be an average Saturday morning cartoon turns out to be a poisonous turd in disguise. With decent animation, Adventures in Odyssey Baby Days is the story of a cliché nerdy scientist guy who finds a random baby on his porch. Now he must learn how to take care of it. It brings him to a life decision: serve God or be a scientist. All with hilarious results. Wait, hilarious isn't the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, horrible in every possible way. Not Just Fun and Games from 1991. Back in Crazy Christian Crap video number 1, I briefly touched on a turd called Games Children Play. This is its sequel. Dumb shit microphone guy is back. Note of trivia, this guy is Peter Lowe, who produced the Left Behind series. Once again, it's a low-budget blame fest. The Simpsons and Vanilla Ice to various board games get taken down.
The point is, everything from the Vanilla Ice game to the MC Hammer puzzle, the books and so on, the fun fruits of rock and roll shapes.
Ex-Nilo's show, Dinosaurs and the Bible from 2002, is another wunderbar tale of dinosaurs and humans living together. You have to ask the questions. What does the Bible have to say about dinosaurs that's locked away in its pages? What do scientists spread about Satan's lies? What is Rick Moranis' stunt double doing here, and why did he buy that horrible shirt? Everything shall be explained through the use of the Bible.
Oh, 6,000 years ago, way before you and I, dinosaurs were trotting around and flying in the sky.
Every Young Woman's Battle from 2007. Now this explains that every young woman's battle is apparently themselves. This blonde-haired lady talks about Jesus and being molested.
The kind of games like, how far have you gone with a boy yet? And can I touch you here?
And being a slut.
Because I had been very promiscuous as a teenage girl, and I had given lots and lots of men opportunities to meet my emotional needs. And
apparently she ate a big bowl of dicks each morning, but now she's born again. She also steals jokes from South Park.
Fulfillment within marriage. And I have to be honest with them. I tell them, it's because I have AIDS. Visual AIDS, and I want to show those to you right now.
It wasn't just Subway sandwiches that made me thin.
Huh?
The reason I was able to lose so much weight so quickly was that I got AIDS.
She helps young women to stay pure by teaching them shame, because nothing is a more ethical and moral way to help young women than to teach them that their normal sexuality is wrong and that they're evil for having normal feelings. The Mark of the Beast from 1998. This award-winning piece of film starts with Kenny Loggins singing. It follows the story of a guy preaching in a jail cell about the rise of the Antichrist, so I guess it kind of takes place in the future, and how the world should have seen it coming, because of the Bible. It leaves this story a number of times so batshit morons can tell you about how the Antichrist is coming, and it's because of biometric technology and barcode scanners.
Every UPC is made up of numbers and bars. The bars themselves also have a numerical value. Notice that the bars on the left, in the middle, and on the right of the code do not have numerical values underneath them. However, the other bars all do. So by comparing these three bars at the beginning, the middle, and the end with numbered bars, it is clear that those dividing bars always represent the number 6.
Joseph Smith the Man from 1980. You know how little old ladies are fucking adorable? Well, this is the story of one of them. I wanted to have a crazy Mormon video, and this is a bit nutty, but fuck, she's so adorable! She gives them cookies, and then tells them the story of Joseph Smith and his magical interactions with angels. She conveniently leaves out the stories about how Joey Smith got his ass booted out of every damn town that he entered, and eventually was shot for being a scam artist, but she does explain that there's a chain of hands, where they all chain back to Will Smith. I mean, Will Wheaton. I mean, Wilson Phillips. Oh, fuck it. The great storyteller. A Sunday school gets a substitute teacher who looks like a cliche nerdy scientist who tells them stories from the Bible. There's nothing really super interesting about this one, it just makes me giggle because there's just so many fucking white people. White adults, white kids, but oh wait, there's one black kid, yup.
Tyrone Phillips, give that to me right this minute.
The only black kid in the entire Sunday school, and his name is Tyrone. Great job, storyteller writers. The original script had a black girl in it, but they couldn't find one in Iowa. So the role of Shaniqua Mercedes Dauphin Justice Monique Liberty Jackson was left unfilled. The Saber from 2007. Tagline, pornography is the sword of the devil. This zero-budget floater is the story of a kid who is shipped off to military school. He makes his girl promise to wait 4 years for him to get out, because that's totally normal. Because teenagers are amazing at being faithful to an absent love interest for half a decade, he soon discovers God's greatest gift, porn. Oh, did I say God? I meant the devil. His roommate tells him how porn somehow killed his brother.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I'm busy. If you're so concerned, go talk to your brother.
Sure, if I could, but he's in prison. He and these other guys got into illegal pornography.
And he doesn't take heed and is consumed by spanking it until he asks for God's help. Brought to you by Jergens Body Lotion, for when you're jerking off. Too Young to Die, Jesus vs. AIDS from 1996. This is the story about two people who have AIDS. One was a model who dated a race car driver who proposed to her. She gives him her body and he gives her AIDS. Then he hauls cows out of there. The other got it through a blood transfusion, followed by stupid street interviews. The Adventures of McGee and Me Can Suck a Fart Out of My Ass. It stars this dumb kid and this dumber cartoon midget that lives in his pocket. This little Irish fucktard is constantly telling the kid to do bad shit, which he does, then gets in trouble for. If I was a kid whose parents were buying me these fucking retarded videos, I'd start acting up and blaming it on an invisible Irish pocket demon. Let's see how quickly they buy me some Bible Man. Prayer Bear! Prayer Bear is the product of an unprotected one-night stand between Snuggles the fabric softener bear and this woman. Prayer Bear is creepy, weird, and has a habit of scaring the shit out of kids. The perfect Christian puppet. Also, Prayer Bear goes with this little girl to keep an eye on her as she runs away from home. She's out the entire night and everyone just kinda acts like she was late to dinner. Sad to Be Gay from 2005. Christian documentary is kind of an oxymoron, and this one's full of morons. Sad to Be Gay is a gay shaming video that's there to prove that gays can be fixed. It also tells the oh-so scientifically accurate story that homosexuality is actually a learned disorder rather than a genetic development. Can the gays be fixed? Spirits Among Us is another Christian horror film from 2009. It's a piece of duty. It stars Fatty Beardface and his way out of his league wife. They move to Texas, which is horrible enough, but their house is haunted by demons? So it's a toss-up which is worse, demonic house or living in Texas. However, the power of Christ compels them, and eventually they get the demon out, and they all live happily ever. Revelation Illustrated from 1992 takes some pretty amazing pieces of artwork done by artist Pat Marvarno Smith, make them all about the book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible that describes the end of the world. Now read the book of Revelation to creepy music, package, then release. DC Talk, rap, rock, soul Christian rap music from 1991. The early 1990s took a big old deuce in this video. It has everything that made the first 3 years of the 1990s so offensive. White rappers, hideous bright baggy clothing. All that's missing is fucking Blossom dancing through the video.
Buy up your pad and pencil, I give you a piece of my mind. In my opinion, nation, this fun is gone.
DC Talk is a Christian group whose focus is reinventing themselves every few years before fading into obscurity. It also includes a video of a KKK member being burned alive.
That's what I'm saying, man. I grew up in the suburbs, but I had to take the metro downtown DC to buy my first rap record. See your boy Tate. 79, I heard it on the radio.
Split Infinity from 1992. Split Infinity is often called the Christian Back to the Future. When somebody told me about this, my reaction was, no! It's the story of this girl named AJ, and AJ wants money. She wants to have everything. Even her dog thinks that she needs help by pointing out the biblical verse on the wall. Her greed is tested when she goes back in time and into the body of a dead relative when she was a little girl. She's in the 1920s Depression era and blah 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 blah. Only Once from 1998. Only Once is aptly named because I could only watch it once. Further viewings would be less enjoyed than stapling my nutsack to a wild boar and riding him through a cactus factory. It's the story heard so many times. Girl meets boy, boy meets girl, girl's parts meet boy parts, then the world goes to shit. Peppered heavily with badass motorcycle montages set to Jesus tunes.
God has found the magic space.
Pagan Invasion! The Pagan Invasion series is a propaganda series based in paranoia and dumbness.
A 4-megaton warhead can ionize the whole Los Angeles basin.
There are people out there who don't just celebrate Halloween with trick-or-treat candy. This is a religious holiday to them. This is something that is holy and sacred, and they are taking innocent human life to discover the dark mysteries of Joseph Smith's Temple of Doom.
All of these things that have been happening on our planet, the famines, earthquakes, the pestilences, the world wars, the false messiahs, are events that were predicted by Jesus Christ.
Microcosm, literally a microcosm of the biblical description of the coming world tribulation. A mad, spiritually possessed authority, overseeing paranoia, gross immorality, plagues, murder, fear, crime, and narcissism to the extreme, all prophesied as last day manifestations under a cruel one-world dictator.
Now we're on to Salty. Salty. Holy fucking shit. How do I even start? I mean, Bible Man was one thing, McGee was another. Salty is on a plane of absurdness just uniquely his own. Salty, spelled P-S-A-L-T-Y, with a silent P at the beginning like the Book of Psalms, is a creepy purple book. Usually it's a guy in a book costume with creepy clown makeup. However, later versions of him turn him into a giant walking puppet. Salty is a series of videos that have no real set formula. There's live shows, there's B movies, C movies, D movies, and there's tons of songs and puppets. Oh, fucking Christ, I'm not high enough for this.
The Lord told Noah to build him an arky Noah.
Oh look, it's a huge pink mouse woman. Wonderful. It even has villains, this being Ricky the Rat.
That was a close one.
I definitely don't want anyone giving their lives to Jesus on this trip. Rats! Ralph and Rhonda's interest in the Lord could ruin all my plans!
Who apparently wants to fuck up everything Salty is doing for no other reason than to be a complete and total dick. What pisses me off is that they make a shit ton of money off of these stupid Christian videos. They've got DVDs, they've got CD audiobooks, they do live tours, and people just shovel money into these idiots' pockets. And they can't even pay for this fucking kid's train ticket?
Yeah, I saved up my allowance for a whole year just so I can pay for my ticket.
Well, that's it for this episode of Crazy Christian Crap Video. But before I go, I want to rewind back to the beginning for a second. Tell me that that is not the face of somebody who sniffs bicycle seats outside of a middle school.